So, Project Nimbus. What do you remember me telling you about it? Just what it is, not everything that I built. What that specifically is.
Okay, that they were shutting down, or they were, I don't know how you would describe it, but there was a failure on the servers where nothing was working. The Amazon server, all that shit. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're
No, that's what I feel like I'm connecting. Now, Project Nimbus just by itself. Now, so as you look up here, Project Nimbus is a $1.2 billion cloud computing contract signed in April 2021 between the Israeli government and Google Cloud Platform and Amazon Web Services. It provides comprehensive public cloud infrastructure, including AI, machine learning, data analytics, and storage, primarily to Israeli government ministries, agencies, municipalities, and the defense establishment, including the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF. So, this is a very, very controversial contract that was put together back in April 2021. Okay. Now, the only reason I came upon this whole thing was back in October. We remember that big old cloud outage for AWS, right?
Yeah.
It was, I believe, 3 days. Let me bring it up real quick.
Was it that long?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm bringing it up real quick. October 20th, AWS services recover after day long. So it says it was a day, but this was a major, major outage, if you guys remember. Now,
yeah,
I mean, it was dominating news cycles like worldwide because everybody fucking uses AWS, right? Like everybody uses it. Now, when it comes to using all of cloud platforms in general, almost, it just feels like AWS is the main thing, right? Because when it comes down to the usage of it, right? I believe it goes AWS, Google, and then Microsoft Azure. Those are the top 3. Okay. So when AWS went down, it didn't do much for, us, or, it didn't really hit me or anything like that. It's just everybody was going on like, oh, AWS is out, AWS is out. So I was just like, oh, well, that sucks, right? Now, the only reason I kind of started digging into this was because Azure went down, which is Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, right? Now, when my buddy said was talking about how he's like, how AWS went down, right? I was like, yeah, sucks or whatever. He's like, yeah, well, you know how now Azure went down. It's kind of weird. I was just like, what's Azure? I never heard the term before. And he was just like, that's Microsoft Cloud Services. He's like, it's kind of weird that these major cloud platforms are just all of a sudden going down. I was just like, I'm on it. I'm going to start digging. Now, and then let's just kind of go right here. So you got Microsoft. And this was the week after, October 29th. Okay. And it hit hitting 365 services and stuff like that. Right. So, and, so it wasn't like huge, or I guess deep affecting as much as AWS was. Okay.
Yeah.
But still major.
But honestly,
platform.
I think it might have hit worse than AWS for a simple fact that look at how many corporations use all Microsoft products. And
no, totally
emails,
agree.
Everything. Yeah.
Totally agree. But when you're talking about as far as widespread as what everyday normal people use, you have people that are hosting and using AWS cloud platforms for you not I know not YouTube, but for like those types of platforms,
Mhm.
AWS is more widespreading than Azure than you use for like 365 specifically, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So again, Azure goes down. Then I start looking into this. I was like, and at first, my sole look at to anything was purely who has who benefits from this.
Yeah.
So I was looking at a pure profit, like what company benefits from Amazon and Microsoft going down when it comes to cloud platform, right? So I just started digging, and I look
Well, who is
at,
it, Tech Wizard Rusty?
well, I would say probably Elon or maybe um whoever.
Elon motherfucking Musk.
Yeah, maybe. But then you could also say whoever's in charge of Google, and then you could also say other tech guys like Larry Ellison. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just throwing names out there. Um, but that's what I started looking at, right? Just so I started looking at what was stock bumps, what kind of major acquisitions, or sell whatever was going on in that time frame. That was my
Mhm.
first look. Okay, and I wasn't really finding anything too major, to anything that maybe lead down of like, okay, maybe someone has been trying to bumped push down stock on Amazon, and because obviously the big person would be Google in this platform, because you're taking down the other two competitors directly with Google in order
Yeah.
to boost their stock. That would been, to me, that would have been the number one person. Now,
Mhm.
there was nothing in that aspect that made me believe that that was them, because there was just nothing that saw a big jump in stock or any major acquisitions, any big contracts that came along in that aspect. Now, as I was digging and I started to see connections of all three, of Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, then I started to find my way to Project Nimbus. And when I was like, the fuck is this? I have no idea what this is, and I've never heard of this before. So that's when I started putting together that timeline that I made. Let's start going through this timeline. And as we go through this timeline, I have links to, so everybody can see my work. Now, I want to make everything clear to anyone watching that this timeline is based off my research and speculation. I'm not giving any for sure alleged, like, this is not conviction. This is alleged. Okay. And this may be one giant coincidence, but for all I know, I mean, like I said, like we take the Ian Carroll rule. Don't trust us. Trust yourself. Do your own research. Now, as far back as I can find from public knowledge on the internet, okay, December 2020 is when the first public notions of Project Nimbus is put out there. Okay. And Google and Amazon are both a part of the Project Nimbus contract, right? So December 2020, there's a memo leaked from Google, a Google lawyer who looked over the contract, and he said, if Google wins the competition, we will need to accept a non-negotiable contract terms favorable to the government, meaning the Israeli government, concerns that the Israeli government has unilateral right to impose contract changes, meaning they can do whatever changes to the contract that they want, and Google cannot say otherwise, the lawyer warned. So here's the article that I have linked here. And when we post this, there will be a link to the article, or to the timeline in the article on our website, if anybody wants to see. So right here is what we're talking about. So everybody can see. January 2021. There is a risk assessment during the Nimbus bidding that flagged human rights concerns, limited oversight and potential abuses in Palestinian territories. Okay, that was implied in the manuals. It's called the Selenite Risk Assessment. This was in January of 2021. This comes from the Business of Human Rights Resource Center. Okay. April 2021. Google and Amazon are awarded the $1.2 billion Nimbus cloud contract with Israeli government, military, and intelligence, signed despite the risk, projecting $3.3 billion in revenue by 2027. April of 2024. Democracy Now! Publishes an article that Google fires 50 plus employees who are in protest of Project Nimbus. August 2024. Responsible Statecraft publishes an article that the IDF is using Amazon Cloud to store intel on everyone in Gaza. December of 2024. The New York Times reports portions of the leaked Selenite risk assessment and related documents contradicting Google's assurances for non-military use. February of 2025, Google amends its AI principles, removing bans on weapons, surveillance tech amid Nimbus scrutiny. This was reported in the Washington Post, CNN, and The Hill. May 12th, 2025, The Intercept publishes a major expose on full leaks revealing unrestricted data access, Israeli jurisdiction overrides, and a classified team for sensitive handling. May 13th, 2025, the Alphabet board rejects shareholder proposal for Nimbus human rights audit. ADL urges rejection, calling it anti-Israel. This was reported by Yahoo News, and there is the full SEC filing. So you can go actually to the SEC site here.